What's up, YouTube? So today's topic, I'm gonna talk about the reasons why I am excited for the afterlife. The reasons why I'm excited to naturally die in this earth. Reasons why I'm excited to pass away eventually in this lifetime so I could get away from the human experience. So let's get to it. I'm out of breath a little bit. So the reason why I am excited to die one day, not to feel the pain of death, but but I am excited to die because I don't get to experience this human life again. Because this human life, in my opinion, is extremely painful and is extremely unfair. It's unfair because as human beings, we are forced to work against our will in order for us to feed a system ruled by evil ass people who has control over this world we live in for a long time. And as human beings that are being controlled, we do not have true freedom or true free will because we are forced to work out of survival because this world controls us, ruled by evil ass people. So if we're in that situation, what makes you think I'm going to enjoy this life? I'm not going to enjoy it. I have a lot of gratitude because, believe it or not, we have other people that are experiencing worse or shit in these third world countries. People in these third world countries, they don't have a roof over their head. They can't find proper food, water, or shelter. They're forced to, or they don't have proper clothing, or they're in an area that's very violent where there's a lot of wars and battles going on. And there's other people that don't have arms or legs, or they don't have a moving, healthy, functioning body. And that's another thing. I feel like the human body is extremely weak. It's extremely fragile, and it's not durable. It's not consistent. So the older you get, the more uglier you get, the more you can't move your body properly, the wrinklier you get. And you're just all fucked up the older you get. Even if you take care of your body, even if you're stretching every day, even if you're eating healthy, even if you're working out, getting exercise every day, naturally you're still going to be old. You still can't move properly. You're going to be slow, mentally, physically, etc. And you're going to become more ugly. I don't like old people. Why I don't like old people? Obviously, I'm not rude to them, but I don't like them because I don't like how ugly they look, and I don't like how slow they move. They're always in the fucking way. The job I work at, they're always in the fucking way. They don't move fast. They're blimping. They're always shaking. They can't move properly. I don't want to be like that when I get older. I don't want to be an old, ugly person that has wrinkles all over my face, that's very slow, that's not useful to the world. I want a healthy, functioning body so I can use it to my max full potential at a high level. Naturally, as human beings, we can't experience that shit the older we get. This is why it's easier for us to be more injured. This is why we get sore easily. And I don't want to experience that. So I don't like the human body. I also don't like the fact that this world we live in, we're always controlled. We're always ruled by money. So, and not only that, but in this world, it's very restricted. So you can't travel around the world. You can't really move from state to state, city to city. You can't really meet people like that because this world is so evil. This world is so corrupted. So what makes you think this human experience is enjoyable? No, I don't like it. This world makes people very narcissistic and very selfish. All they focus on is money, making money, 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 because money controls us. We need money to survive. So we're in that situation. This human experience is not enjoyable because we're no different than animals. We're no different than wild animals, but we're at a higher level of wild animals, not in a good way, but in a way to where the illusion is different. How animals, they rely on killing other animals to survive and then being killed. At a human version, our version is if we don't become a slave, then we're not going to survive. So we have to become a slave and forced to be miserable in order for us to survive. So animals, they're more physically survival mode, and human beings, we're more mentally and covert in survival mode in a way. So it's different levels to this, but it's the same illusion pretty much. or it's the same situation but different illusion, basically. So I don't like it. So there's no true freedom and there's no true happiness in this human experience. At least in the afterlife, it's abundant, it's limitless. You could do whatever the fuck you want. There's a lot of true freedom in the afterlife. No, I haven't experienced the afterlife because I don't have access to my past lives, or I don't know what happened, but I've done research, I've studied, and I've heard other opinions. But basically the overall perspective that I've gained from people talking about it and their perspective of it is that it's limitless. There's a lot of freedom and there's no pain, and you have true freedom pretty much as a spirit, as a soul. In a human body, you're limited to this body. You are limited to this world, to this society. It keeps you in a box. There's no true happiness. There's no true freedom. Everything we do is out of survival. Everything we do is because we're being controlled by evil ass pedophiles who rule over this world. So if we're in that situation, do you think I'm gonna enjoy this human experience? No, I don't. And the byproduct of this society, the byproduct of this world is that it creates narcissistic people, and it creates a lot of people who are very selfish because they're in a survival mode and making money. All they know is making money. All they know is survival. That's no different than being a wild animal. And it's out of our control too, because as babies, we were born into this. We're put into school against our will. We weren't taught proper things. It's just this society, this world, it forces people to become dumb and have no type of self-awareness. This is why parents from every generation doesn't teach their kids what the fuck is going on. Only a select few people understand what's going on outside of this world, pretty much. So, and there's a lot of suffering, and people want to blame the world and society, which I do blame this world and society, but I feel like spiritually speaking, God and the universe, and they're at fault too, because if they're allowing this society and this world and this realm to be how it is, technically, isn't that their fault too? People want to say it's the devil, or people want to say it's hell, which may be true, but if God and the universe, if they're not doing anything about it, then technically they're the problem too, because they're allowing human beings to even experience all this shit. Now, this human experience, it could be a punishment, or it could be us to experience what it's like to be in hell. Who knows? What I do know is that, like, I don't want to reincarnate here. I don't want to live this human experience again after I die. I'd rather be in a different realm. I'd rather be in a different reality compared to living and experiencing this bullshit, pretty much. Because there's no true freedom. There's a lot of enslavement, and there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of suffering, and there's a lot of narcissism everywhere, pretty much. So it's very ghetto, and it's not a good place to experience. The human experience, I view it more so as a school, because you constantly have to go through a lot of bullshit. You constantly have, this world tests your patience. It tests your anger. It tests your emotions. Everything is a test, pretty much, to be patient, to how much bullshit you could take, to go through the storm, go through the bullshit, experience a lot of unfairness, and just a lot of things that this human experience is the opposite of the afterlife. The afterlife is not like this. What the afterlife is the real world. This world, this society is not actually fucking real, because there's a lot of enslavement, and it's meant for souls to learn lessons. That's pretty much what it is. This is why there's so much suffering, there's so much bullshit, there's so much confusion, there's so much unfairness, because life in itself, in this human experience, is nothing but a fucking test. That's why it's so temporary. So it's as long as fuck, because it's so painful, but it's temporary. Eventually this shit will end. But I feel like if you're not learning your lessons, if you're not doing what you're sent here to be doing, then I feel like you can't reincarnate. Either that, or you will volunteer if you want to reincarnate. Either you don't learn your lessons, so then you fail, so then you gotta repeat, or you volunteer to come down here. So if I were to pass this human experience without failing, I would not volunteer to come back here, because this place is just fucking bullshit. There's a lot of unfairness, there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of unnecessary pain, and there's a lot of corruption that God or the universe are not willing to change or to help make better for this human experience. It's not. So that's all I got to say. In the afterlife, after you pass away, you don't have to experience being in prison and stuck in this human body. You don't have to feel pain no more. You can do whatever you want. You could be free. you could live life at such a peaceful, safe rate, pretty much. In this life, there's no true freedom or peace. So that's all I gotta say. Have a good one. Peace.